her mother comes to her and says, come in the house. She was 6 years old. Mother takes her into the house to see her father. Her father is there offering her hand in marriage now to Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Offering the hand of his daughter to the Prophet, who is his best friend. And this was a custom, a tradition in their society. So it was definitely well within the limits of the society they lived in. It was approved totally. But look at this. It wasn't accepted by Muhammad. How do we know? How do we know? Well, because if you keep reading, you'll see that she went back outside and continued playing. And this is to indicate what? That although this is very much appreciated and accepted in, at least in intention, yet because the girl's not old enough yet, she must be the one to decide. That's why you find another hadith or saying or tradition in the same book of Bukhari that says a different age. Well, you might wonder, well, how is it 6 years old or is it 9 years old? Maybe they turned the number upside down. You know, a 6 and a 9, you could reverse it. But that's not possible in the Arabic, because when you see the number 9 in Arabic, you see the number 6, they're not the same as they are with the English letters we use today. So that wasn't the case. Not at all. In fact, she says a similar incident takes place on another occasion. Again, her mother's taking her inside and offering her hand in marriage. The father is offering the hand in marriage to Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. And it is in this time, now she's older and she's evidently now able to make the decision. But in any case, they did not have any marriage until she gave consent. And she had to be old enough or they couldn't have done it. So that's number one. Put your mind at ease about that. Number two is that even when they got married, she didn't go to live with him until she was old enough to have babies. That's also a condition and understanding of in Islam. This doesn't happen. And even then, he took his time with her. And that she said herself, listen to this, that they used to run and play and enjoy being together. And she used to beat him in the races, she said, until she got older. When she got fatter, she said, and then he used to beat her in the races. She talks about having a lot of fun together and growing and enjoying his company, being with him, and they grew in their mutual love and respect for each other very much. In her whole life, she never said any disparaging remarks against her husband. It was only the most glowing of report that comes from her about Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Although he died while she was still a young lady, she continued throughout her life, the rest of her life, with full honor and respect for her husband. She never remarried. She never had any boyfriends or callers coming by or any of the rest of it. She became also one of the greatest of the scholars, especially in the area of telling us about women's needs and women's conditions and the things that Islam is providing for women. We know a lot about the case of women in Islam from Aisha, radiyallahu anha, may Allah be pleased with her. Additionally, I would like to mention that when you consider how much he loved her, that when he was dying, he asked to be with her. He wanted to be with her. And he made a point to be there. And she would come in and put the towel on his head when he had such a fever, and she would try to cool him down. And then he would take it off and he would talk for a minute and then put it back on. And this is recorded in some of the sayings also of Muhammad. And then when he passed away with his head in her lap. Now this shows a great love from both of them. Yet she didn't wail and cry and tear at her hair or any of the rest of it, which was a custom, by the way, of the ignorant pagan people. Instead, she understood that he was going to his Lord. She also understood throughout the rest of her life that she also would go to her Lord and that they would be together again in paradise, living happily ever after. I'd like you now to contrast this story that I've just told you with the story of Romeo and Juliet, the story that we usually associate with Valentine's Day, the story that we usually associate with true love and young love. But in reality, the story that Shakespeare presents for us is no match for the beautiful story that I've just told you. Because those children, and they were very young teenagers, perhaps 12, 14 years old, Romeo and Juliet. They were going against the wishes of their parents and sneaking behind their back. And they were not married. There was no marriage involved. It was just an affair that they were having. And then one committed suicide, and then the other followed. So this is the tragic result of the kind of love that's not acceptable in Islam. There is no boyfriend-girlfriend relationship, and there's certainly no sneaking behind the backs of the parents. Everything in Islam is out in the open, and everything in marriage is done by contract, and there's never any sex before marriage. So put it in perspective and understand that this is the story that Shakespeare probably wishes that he would have told instead of Romeo and Juliet. I hope this was able in some way to put your mind at ease and relax about this subject, because the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was in fact sent as a mercy to all of the mankind and jinn. Until next time, from here on the Mailbag, on the Deen Show, peace. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.